Have you ever stopped to wonder about the dark liquid that runs our world? We call it oil or petroleum, but really it is a time capsule. A time capsule is a container holding things from the past. When you look at a drop of oil, you are not just looking at a simple liquid. You are looking at ancient history. You are looking at stored sunlight from millions of years ago. Imagine our planet, long before humans existed. Imagine it even before the giant dinosaurs walked the earth. The oceans were filled with tiny, floating plants and animals. Every day, these tiny plants drank the warm sunlight. They used the sun's energy to grow. This process is called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is simply how plants turn light into food. They held the sun's energy inside their tiny bodies. When these tiny plants and animals died, they slowly sank to the bottom of the ocean. Over millions of years, they were covered by layers of sand, mud, and heavy rock. The earth is very heavy, and the center of the earth is very hot. This incredible weight and heat created pressure. Over a deep, unimaginable amount of time, this pressure cooked the dead plants. It changed them. It squeezed them until they turned into the thick, dark energy we call oil. Think about the immense value of time. It took the Earth hundreds of millions of years to create this perfect, stored energy. Nature worked slowly, silently, in the dark, to build this treasure. Yet humanity is pulling it out of the ground at lightning speed. We are consuming it so fast. What took nature millions of years to make, we burn in just a few seconds inside our car engines. Are we respecting this ancient gift? We are spending a bank account that took forever to save. It makes you pause, doesn't it? When we pump gas into our cars, we are burning the deep past. We are burning ancient sunlight. Next time you see a car drive by, remember this. It is moving because of tiny plants that lived long before the first human ever opened their eyes. Let us move forward in time. Imagine the world in the year 1850. It was a very different place. When the sun went down, the world became dark, very dark. There were no electric lights. To read a book at night or to light up a dark street, people needed oil lamps. But where did this oil come from? It did not come from the ground. It came from the ocean. It came from whales. People hunted giant whales to cut out their fat. They melted this fat to make whale oil. This oil burned brightly in the lamps of homes across Europe and America. Because the demand for light was so high, thousands of ships sailed the oceans to hunt these beautiful creatures. The whaling industry was massive, but it was a tragedy. Whales were brought to the brink of extinction. Extinction means a species dies out completely and disappears from the earth forever. There were almost no whales left. Then, something incredible happened. A new discovery changed everything. People found out how to pump petroleum out of the earth and turn it into kerosene. Kerosene was a new kind of oil for lamps. It was cheaper than whale oil. It was easier to get. It burned just as brightly. Almost overnight, people stopped buying whale oil. They bought kerosene instead. This is a beautiful and strange twist of history. Petroleum, the dark liquid from the dirt, actually saved the whales. The ships stopped hunting. The whales were left alone to swim in peace. Petroleum was the hero of the ocean. But history is full of surprises. We must look at the paradoxical role of oil. A paradox is a situation that seems contradictory. It is a solution that hides a new problem. Oil saved the whales, yes. It saved them from extinction. But decades later, this same oil would start to poison the oceans. It would pollute the air. It would threaten the very planet those whales live on. It is a powerful lesson for us today. Often, human solutions create new, bigger issues. We fix one thing, but we accidentally break another. Now, let me tell you a story about an ordinary man with an extraordinary idea. The year is 1859. The place is a quiet, muddy town called Titusville in Pennsylvania. Meet Edwin Drake. Edwin was not a famous scientist. He was not a rich businessman. In fact, he was an unemployed man with a bad back. But he had a vision. At this time, people knew oil existed. Sometimes it would just bubble up to the surface of the ground. People collected it in small cups. But Edwin Drake believed there was a massive ocean of oil deep underground. He believed you could reach it by drilling a deep hole, just like people drilled for water. When Drake shared his idea, people laughed at him. They thought he was crazy. "You want to drill into the hard rock to find black water?" they mocked. "That is impossible." His friends told him to stop. The men who gave him money wanted to quit. Everyone ridiculed him. To ridicule someone means to make fun of them and treat their ideas as foolish. But Drake refused to stop. He had the pioneer spirit. A pioneer is someone who goes first, someone who tries what has never been tried before. Drake built a tall wooden tower. He built a heavy iron drill. Day after day, his machine pounded into the earth. It was slow. It was expensive. It was a massive gamble. A gamble is a very big risk where you might lose everything. Then, on a warm day in August, everything changed. The drill reached 69 feet deep. Suddenly, a dark, thick liquid began to rise up the pipe. It was oil. Drake had done it. He had proved the whole world wrong. He didn't just find a little bit of oil. He proved that humanity could reach deep into the earth to take its energy. Edwin Drake's story is a powerful reminder. True innovation often begins with an idea that the majority of people dismiss. The crowd is often wrong. Progress requires brave people who are willing to look foolish. It requires people who are willing to dig deep, take a risk, and gamble on the unknown. As oil flowed from the ground, many men rushed to dig their own wells. They all wanted to find oil and get rich quick. But one man was watching, and he saw a different path. His name was John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller understood a profound secret about wealth and power. Rockefeller realized that digging for oil was too risky. Sometimes you find oil, sometimes you find dry dirt. It was a messy, unpredictable game. So he decided not to dig for the oil. Instead, he decided to control what happened to the oil after it came out of the ground. He created a company called Standard Oil. Rockefeller did not just want to sell kerosene for lamps. He wanted to build a vast operating system for the entire industry. An operating system is the invisible structure that makes everything else work. Think about a smartphone. The operating system controls the apps, the screen, and the battery. Rockefeller wanted to be the operating system for oil. He didn't buy the oil wells. He bought the oil refineries. A refinery is a giant factory that cleans the raw oil and turns it into useful products. Then, he bought the wooden barrels used to hold the oil. Then, he bought the wagons that carried the barrels. Finally, he made secret deals with the railroad companies. He controlled the trains that moved the oil across the country. He even built long metal pipelines under the ground to pump the oil himself. People began to call Standard Oil the octopus. Imagine a giant octopus sitting in the middle of the country. It has long, powerful tentacles reaching out in every direction. It grabs the trains, it grabs the pipes, it grabs the factories. It was a monopoly. A monopoly is when one single company controls an entire industry with no competition. Rockefeller showed the world a new kind of power. He proved that you do not need to own the raw product to be the king. You just need to own the system. You need to own the roads, the pipes, and the transportation. It is a lesson about infrastructure. True power lies in controlling how things connect. As we enter the 20th century, our story takes a darker turn. Oil stopped being just a way to light lamps. With the invention of the automobile and the airplane, oil became the engine of the modern world. And very quickly, it became the prize of nations. It became the blood of empires. Look at a map of the Middle East. Have you ever noticed how many of the borders between countries are perfectly straight lines? Why is that? Mountains are not straight. Rivers are not straight. Those straight lines were drawn by powerful men sitting in rooms far away in Europe. After World War I, the British and the French looked at the map. They knew there were massive oceans of oil hidden under the desert sands. They drew borders not based on the people who lived there. They did not care about local cultures or ancient tribes. They drew borders based on where the oil fields were. This is the heart of geopolitics. Geopolitics is the study of how geography, money, and natural resources influence the power of governments. Oil became the most important geopolitical prize in human history. When the terrible wars of the 20th century broke out, oil was the blood that kept the war machines alive. Without oil, tanks are just heavy metal boxes sitting in the mud. Without oil, airplanes cannot fly. Without oil, ships cannot cross the ocean. During World War II, entire armies marched across deserts simply to capture oil wells. The side that had the most oil was the side that could keep fighting. It was a brutal reality. Millions of people suffered because of the race for this black gold. It makes us reflect on the nature of global power. The control over energy resources often dictates the history of the world. Wars are fought, borders are drawn, and nations rise or fall based on who controls the energy. Oil is not just a resource. It is a powerful tool that shapes the destiny of humanity. Let us bring the story closer to home. Look around you right now. What do you see? You might be holding a smartphone. You might be wearing a comfortable jacket. You might have a credit card in your wallet. You might have a plastic bottle of water on your desk. What do all these things have in common? They share a secret history. They are all made from oil. We usually think of oil as the gasoline we put into our cars, but oil is everywhere. It is completely invisible, yet it surrounds us completely. Scientists learned how to break oil apart in laboratories. They learned how to take the molecules of oil and build new materials. These new materials are called petrochemicals. Petrochemicals are chemicals made from petroleum. From these chemicals, we created a magical new material: plastic. Plastic is lightweight, cheap, and can be formed into any shape. It changed the world. We use plastic for medical tools in hospitals. We use it for the keys on our computer keyboards. We use it for the soles of our shoes. But our invisible dependence on oil goes even deeper. Think about the food on your plate. To grow enough food for billions of people on Earth, farmers use artificial fertilizers. Fertilizers are special chemicals added to dirt to make plants grow fast and big. Most of these modern fertilizers are created using oil and natural gas. This means we don't just drive with oil. We wear oil. We sleep on oil. We talk through oil. We even eat oil. Our modern existence is deeply intertwined with this ancient liquid. Intertwined means twisted together so closely that you cannot separate them. Humanity has developed a plastic soul. We have built a beautiful, comfortable modern life, but the foundation of this life is entirely dependent on pumping black liquid from the ground. Have we trapped ourselves in a plastic world? Let us dive into the world of money. It is a world of secrets and handshakes. let me tell you about a deal that changed global finance forever. The year is 1974. The United States of America and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had a very important, quiet meeting. The U.S. needed oil to run its massive economy. Saudi Arabia had the most oil in the world, but it needed military protection and security. So, they made a historic agreement. Saudi Arabia agreed that they would only sell their oil in one specific currency, the U.S. dollar. They would not accept British pounds, they would not accept Japanese yen, only U.S. dollars. In return, the U.S. promised to protect Saudi Arabia. This agreement created something famous called the petrodollar. The petrodollar is simply a U.S. dollar that is earned by a country through the sale of petroleum. Why was this so important? Because every single country in the world needs oil. To build roads, to run factories, to drive cars, you need oil. But because of this deal, if you want to buy oil, you first have to buy U.S. dollars. Think about the power of this. It meant the whole world suddenly needed a constant supply of U.S. dollars. It made the U.S. dollar the strongest and most important money on the planet. It gave the United States incredible economic power. This shows how oil was transformed into an economic weapon. It was no longer just fuel for a car. It was the fuel for the global financial system. It demonstrates the strategic value of alliances. An alliance is a powerful friendship between countries. By joining the power of energy with the power of money, these two nations shaped the destiny of the world economy for decades. It is a brilliant, powerful trap that the whole world walked into. But, my friends, every epic story has a dark side. We have talked about the light, the wealth, and the power of oil. Now, we must face the shadow it casts over our planet. When we start our car engines, or when a factory burns oil to make electricity, a chemical reaction occurs. This process is called combustion. Combustion is the scientific word for burning. When you burn this black gold, it does not just disappear, it changes form. It breaks apart and releases invisible gases high into the sky. The most important gas it releases is called carbon dioxide, or CO2. CO2 is completely invisible. You cannot see it, you cannot smell it, but it is gathering in our atmosphere. Our atmosphere is the layer of air that surrounds the Earth. Imagine putting on a thick wool sweater on a hot summer day. The sun shines on you, but the heat cannot escape from your body. You begin to sweat. You feel trapped. This is exactly what CO2 does to the Earth. It acts like a giant invisible blanket wrapping around the globe. The sun's warmth comes down through the sky, but the blanket of CO2 stops the heat from bouncing back into space. This is known as the greenhouse effect. Because of this invisible blanket, our beautiful blue planet is getting hotter. The Earth has a fever. We call this global warming or climate change. The ice at the North and South Poles is melting. The oceans are rising. The weather is becoming angry and unpredictable, with massive storms and terrible droughts. This fever is the environmental cost of our prosperity. Prosperity means being rich and having a comfortable life. We built a wonderful, modern world with oil, but we are paying a very heavy price. It urges us to reflect deeply on our collective responsibility. We all share this one planet. We all breathe the same air. We must face the reality of the carbon fever before the sickness becomes permanent. So, we come to the final chapter of our story. We have seen how oil saved the whales, built empires, created plastic, and gave our planet a fever. Where does the journey end? Some people worry that one day we will just run out of oil. They fear the world will suddenly stop. But history teaches us a different lesson. Remember the Stone Age? The Stone Age did not end because humans ran out of stones. It ended because humans invented bronze. They found a better technology. The age of oil will not end because we run out of oil in the ground. It will end because of human innovation. It will end because we look up and find a better way. We are standing at the dawn of a new era. A dawn is the first light of morning, the beginning of something new. We are looking beyond the black liquid in the dirt. We are building giant panels to catch the energy of the sun. We are building massive white towers to catch the power of the wind. These are called renewable energy sources. Renewable means they can be used again and again. The sun will never stop shining. The wind will never stop blowing. This is an exciting time to be alive. The transition away from oil will be hard. It will take time, money, and courage. But humans are problem solvers. Just like Edwin Drake risked everything to dig into the ground, new pioneers are risking everything to reach for the sun and the wind. The future of energy is not hidden in the dark past of millions of years ago. The future belongs to new technologies, bright ideas, and the limitless power of human creativity. The true energy that will save the world is not petroleum. It is the human mind. Thank you for joining me on this powerful journey. Keep wondering, keep learning, and I will see you next time, right here on English Mindcast.